Okay.
All right. Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. We're
Rock and roll.
live. We are on Facebook and TikTok
And YouTube.
and YouTube. How's everyone doing out there tonight? My name is John Gardner. This is my wife and law partner, Radlin Mendoza.
Hello, hello. I am sharing the Facebook page, so I'll be over here for a sec while
right.
you're doing your intros. And
Yes.
we're waiting for people to join as well. Did
That's
we
right.
want to
We've got some people coming
do
on
we have
here.
Odette?
Yeah, I'm looking for her right now. Up there she is. Okay. Odette, I see you here joined, and then we have to invite you.
Can you ask to join Odette or? Okay, everyone, as we are getting settled here.
Working on that. So my name is John Gardner. This is my wife and law partner, Radlin Mendoza. And we are the immigration law firm, Gardner and Mendoza. We come to you once a week on Wednesdays at 8:30 to 9 to give you immigration updates and to answer your immigration questions. And sometimes we are fortunate enough to have a very special, amazing guest join us, Odette Batchelor, who's retired senior U.S. CIS immigration officer, joining us tonight. This is a real unique opportunity to pick the brain and get the inside scoop from somebody who was approving or denying these applications for many, many years. So, Odette, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you here.
Welcome, Odette. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
I do want to warn everyone that what we do here is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not legal advice. And let's see, I'm still trying to get Odette joining here. I see.
Okay, and I'm sharing.
Odette, I see you joined, but I don't see you requesting to be invited on.
Hold on.
Okay.
And Radlin, we've got a subject that we're going to hit today, right?
Oh yes, we're talking about processing times again this week because it was a very popular topic last week. Lots of questions, lots of people, and Odette Batchelor has some really good insight about processing times and why you may see them slowing down. Maybe where you are, they're speeding up. Probably not, but possibly. And we're also going to answer your immigration questions tonight. So as far as TikTok is concerned, we're trying to add Odette to the live so you can hear her better, but you're going to be able to hear her anyway. We've got our volumes turned up, so not super worried about that.
Yeah, and if you have processing time questions, that's the topic tonight. If we're not getting any of those questions, then we can certainly answer any other questions that you all may have regarding your immigration case.
And it doesn't show the invite.
Maybe say hi.
Okay. Yeah, all that did was wave at you. That's not going to get it done.
All right. So it's fine. We'll, if you guys could give us a little thumbs up on TikTok to just make sure that you can hear us and hear Odette. Odette, can you say a couple things? Why don't you introduce yourself really quickly?
Well, hi, I'm Odette Batchelor. I retired from USCIS 8 months ago, and I was a senior immigration officer. And I was responsible for training new officers. I was responsible for working the more complex cases and just doing regular form types if needed.
Okay. And Odette, we've worked, I'm not sure what the word is, together. I think we can say together. I didn't work for USCIS, but as an immigration attorney who came to your office frequently for 25 years. What?
Right.
You and I, we worked on a lot of cases together, and we've seen some things, right? We've been through several administrations, I think maybe 4 or 5, possibly.
Possibly, yes.
No, I can't do the math on that, but tell us just a little bit about processing times in general. I know that with the current administration, there are people who are saying, "Oh my gosh, these processing times are because of Trump, and they've never been like this before," right? So, if you can maybe just sort of talk to our audience about just how processing times work, and then secondly, just kind of what your experience has been over different administrations.
Hmm.
Just sometimes we need a reality check. Yes, I we like to blame certain things on this, cause and effect, but I just want the audience to kind of get an idea of like how do the processing times work? What were the processing times like with Obama, with Clinton, actually, uh, Bush, if you remember? I kind of vaguely remember. I do have some insight on that as well, but yeah, floor is yours.
I mean, I feel like throughout the 42 years that I've worked for the service,
Woo!
that the processing times go up and down. And sometimes it does matter who's in office at the time because it depends on what legislators they put out, things that may be changing. As you know, immigration forms, fees, laws change on a regular. So, because of that, that may hold up processing times for your case. Right now, currently, there's maybe a hold because of certain countries. It doesn't mean that your case isn't being worked on. It just means that the case may not get approved as fast as others. Again, once throughout the years, I noticed that with other administration, rather it's been Obama, Clinton, or whoever is in there, they do push more for immigration policies to move forward, to try to get the backlog out. They work on helping the immigrants come to the US in a legal way. And I'm not saying that they that maybe one administration, rather it be Bush or Trump, just completely halts it. I'm just saying that one may work faster than the other. So they're pushing, like, let's get these 400s done. Let's get these people
Natural,
naturalized,
right,
so people can vote, you
right.
know. So there's things like that that comes into play.
Gotcha. I do remember that when I can't remember which administration was a huge push to get people naturalized in order to vote in the next election, and just the naturalization in general. I do recall that, but I concur. John and I have been through it all, and since Clinton, and some of the longest processing times were actually during the first part of Obama's administration. I mean, we're talking 2.5 years. Do you remember this? For
Yeah.
marriage adjustment case. I mean, I was praying that our couples are going to stay together, right? Like, please, you, marriages don't last this long, like in America.
Well,
But
the first 3 years, 2 to 3 years are the roughest for a brand new
right,
couple.
right. And I just, people when they say, oh, when I say, oh, it looks like the process times are whatever they are. 16 months. I haven't looked them up in Norfolk in a while. Like, wow, that's really long. You know, it's probably going to get processed shorter than 16 months. And no, that is not really long. It's totally fine. But we actually do have
Yeah,
a quick question here from, well, you can
that is interesting. The going up and down. I was just doing some little jotting down here with the years. So by my calculation, you've got Reagan, Bush Senior, 2 terms with Clinton, 2 terms with Obama, Trump, Biden, and Trump again. So you've seen a lot of
Seen a lot of
administration.
ups and
Yeah.
downs.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is a lot. 42 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so the first question we have here, the person says, I'm waiting for 7 to 8 months for naturalization. What do I have to do?
We'll let Odette answer that question. Did you hear that question, Odette?
I heard that question.
Okay,
There's nothing you have to do, but just wait. I would suggest not travel for long periods of time. And when I say long periods, I mean like 30 days or more. But other than that, just be patient. And depending on what area you're living in, could just depend on how long it's taking for them to get a ceremony.
Right. And before we, well, I don't know if this person has even gone to the interview yet, but before we went on this live, I kind of quickly looked at naturalization, and in some jurisdictions, it's like taking 10 months. So this person user is outside of process. I mean, I'm sorry, still within processing times for most field offices. And what that means is if you're still within processing times, Odette's recommendation to wait is the only recommendation, right? Like,
Yeah.
yes, wait. You have to wait and wait until your case gets scheduled. 7 to 8 months. That's really not out of the ordinary whatsoever. Now, if you've already had your interview, that's a completely different story. that's a totally different story. So, if you want to clarify whether you've already had your interview and it's still 7, 8 months, you can go ahead and do that. But if it's still within processing times, unfortunately, you do have to wait. And there's not too much that you can do about it. Right, Odette?
Right.
So
stay out of trouble.
just all the
Stay out
regular
of trouble.
recommendations.
No long traveling, Odette. I think you said
No
like
long traveling.
Yeah.
No heavy lead foot speeding.
Oh,
You
I was
know.
just about to ask John that. So what if user here gets a reckless driving ticket? Let's just say they're in Virginia, and a reckless driving ticket in Virginia is what type of case is that?
Class 1 misdemeanor.
So it's a class 1 misdemeanor, which means
it carries up to $2,500 fine and 12 months in jail.
Right. Okay. So what if user gets this class 1 misdemeanor reckless driving, and they are put on probation for a year, and oh my gosh, so excited, you just got your naturalization interview. So what's going to happen there?
It's going to be on hold for that year. They're not going to finish out that case while they're still on that pending suspended sentence time.
Right. So Odette, did you see cases like this?
All the time.
All the time.
All the time. That's the problem. That's why I say keep off your heavy foot.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So if user and anyone else who's in a similar boat as user, that's really great advice too. Just while you're being patient, also just be super, super careful. Don't leave your home.
You know what? I honestly like to, when I'm doing a naturalization consultation, I go through the steps, I go through the process, and I tell people, like, and then when you pass your test and you are recommended to go and take your swearing in, go to oath swearing in ceremony, then you have to get in a bubble until you swear in because
yes,
anything can happen. Odette has seen everything. So if you don't mind walking us through just this reckless driving scenario. So the applicant comes in, you go through the application, correct? And let's just assume they passed the test.
Say they passed the test and it pops up they had this reckless driving. Now we're waiting on your certified court disposition. It's got to be certified. Don't send in a copy. Don't send a printout from the internet. It doesn't fly. And that's going to take more time. Right there. We send out a request for evidence for this information, and it's going to take at least, we only give you 30 days. You bring that back, say they give you probation. Now that's another issue. Case can't be approved if you're on probation. The other scenario is, say you passed and case got approved. Now you're coming to your oath ceremony and it pops up. The first thing we're going to ask you about any of this, we run the checks all over again. So it's going to pop up. Don't tell us no. Please don't tell us no.
Oh, this is an
While we're
important
sitting at the table checking you in.
Oh my gosh. Don't tell
Okay.
me. Please don't tell me that you have turned people away at their naturalization swearing in ceremony because they got a speeding ticket or whatever, and then they don't tell you about it.
And they don't tell you about
And
it.
then you deny the case.
Oh, we give them another 15 days to send us another certified court disposition that this has been taken care of, that it's been dismissed, the probation is over. And if it's not, well, now you're done and have to do the whole process all over again, test and everything.
Right.
Don't put yourself through that.
Yeah, absolutely. Great recommendation. So, Dad, how long will the field office, how long will USCIS keep that N400 open? If you, I mean, you can just base that on your experience. It may not apply right now to what officers are doing, but like, is there some sort of a guideline? Because I mean, if you, I mean, if you go in to your N400 interview and you know, you're at the beginning of your 1 year probation, are you guys going to keep that open for 1 year?
No. Once
No.
we get that certified court disposition and find out you're still on probation, you can expect a denial
Oh,
within a week.
oh man, that's pretty
So,
tough.
folks, those of you on Facebook and those of you on TikTok, you know, I hope you're listening to this and just you really, really need to be careful.
Yes.
You're hearing this is terrible. This is terrible stuff. But
Yeah.
it's law. You know, it's not done with malice or wicked intent. It's the law that they have to follow.
Law.
And so,
And you spend a lot of money for these applications. Why waste it and have to go all over again?
yeah.
That's true.
And
That's
if
true.
this is confusing to anyone, I just want to remind you that when you're on probation, a case isn't really final yet, because probation means that the court still has power to do something if you violate the terms of the probation. And because the court still has power to do something while you're on probation, it's not a final disposition yet. Okay.
Yep. Absolutely.
Anything
But
else?
good little detour there.
Yeah.
So, you know, one of the questions that we get, because we do a lot of cases where a person has filed an I-130 petition for their spouse and or their family member, and they're you know, they're outside of the United States. So, U.S. citizen filing for their spouse or immediate family members, such as a child under age 21 who's unmarried, as well as a parent. Those cases right now are taking 17 and a half months just for USCIS to approve that I-130 petition. So particularly with marriage cases, I want to bring this up because I've shocked a few people this week, giving them this information, is that when you file that I-130 petition, that is just the very beginning of the process. Then you have to wait the 17 and a half months for USCIS to approve your I-130 petition. Then you have to wait like 30 to 60 to 75 to 90 days for the transfer of USCIS approval to the National Visa Center, then waiting in the National Visa Center, then waiting for an interview in your family member's home country. You're really looking at 2.5 years before that family member can immigrate to the United States. Yes, for spouses of U.S. citizens, even if you are a veteran, even if you are a general, even if you are still active duty military,
Yes.
those are still the timeframes, unfortunately. So one thing that we like to advise our clients and the people that we're helping is like, you have to keep those lines, especially we're talking about a marriage here, those lines of communication open, right? Let your spouse know, let your spouse in on the conversations with your immigration attorney, because trust me, at some point in the 2.5 years, your spouse is going to think that you are dragging your feet. You know how many times I've heard this? You're dragging your feet. You're not doing the right thing. And a lot of times the couples will come to us and they've already kind of piddled around on the USCIS website. Like, oh, okay, I can do this myself. I'm really confused. And then it's 6 months later and they go, okay, I think that we probably should hire an immigration lawyer. And that's when they come to us. And a lot of times at that point, there's already a lot of tension because the spouse, typically the wife, is like, you just dragged your feet for 6 months and nothing has happened. So keep those lines of communications open. I really want to write a book that says, stop letting your husband mess up your immigration case or wife. I just put it in parentheses, or wife, or wife,
Yeah, in parentheses though.
or spouse, or spouse. But it is true that we a lot of times have to kind of put those little mini fires out in the marriage at the very beginning of the marriage, and that's not good because someone's upset that the person who is really in charge, the petitioner, hasn't done what they're supposed to do. So keep that in mind with overall processing times, and just keep those lines of communications open for each other to make sure that you get through this process, because 2.5 years is a long time.
See all the whole hard work that we have to do before these cases.
I know.
I see. Marriage counselors.
That's right.
We are marriage counselors, and I mean, look, the reality is not all marriages make it through that 2.5 years. I mean, it just, COVID was tough. COVID was especially tough because those cases took even longer. Okay. Any other questions there
So
about
we had
process times?
No, this is a question just about if we're ready to take another one.
Sure.
Yeah. She says, I'm going alone to an asylum interview, but I have a valid PhD F1 status.
Okay, so
that's not the question. That's just,
great. I hope that you're prepared for the interview. You said that you're going alone. I highly recommend. I know you have a PhD or working on your PhD, and you're a pretty smart person, right? To get to that point that you're working on a PhD, but you need to bring someone with a JD in immigration law, right? Like, we have a colleague, similar thing, PhD in Afghanistan, or a lawyer in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
He did his own U.S. asylum case when he came to the United States. He completely botched his case. He completely messed up his own case, and he was a lawyer in Afghanistan. And when he tells this story, he just talks about how heartbreaking was, like, that he didn't realize how complicated the immigration laws were. And you didn't ask a question, but you did put your facts up on the screen there, and asked, but please go find a reputable immigration attorney and get up to speed on your case, and go to that asylum interview, because asylum leads to permanent residency. The F1 is duration of status, and whenever you're done with school, then you're done and you need to go back to your country. So it's that important, especially if that's the option that you have, and obviously you applied for asylum, and so you felt like you had a case there. So please do not go alone to your asylum interview. There are numerous reputable immigration attorneys out there. Do your due diligence and find one, and please go get representation. I'm begging you.
I concur.
Do you concur?
I concur.
Okay.
All right.
Odette, did you ever do asylum interviews or work in the asylum office?
No, but we had asylum officers stationed in our office doing the interviews, and would talk to them on a regular basis in between clients. And they would always say, I don't know why people come in without an attorney. Like, they just messed it up for themselves. So you really do need an attorney. You may think you don't, but trust me, you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's,
Okay.
it's an investment. Well worth it.
Well, listen, can I just tell a quick story? So we have immigration attorneys at our office. They're amazing. They're great. And they've been going to the immigration interviews, right? Like we don't go to immigration interviews anymore. I guess we're mature.
Mhm.
We're-
We've also been through all these administrations like you.
We've
Odette.
also been through all the administrations. Anyhow, we have let's just say I'm not going to say younger people are smart. I'm just saying younger, smarter attorneys going to our immigration interviews. But the the last immigration interview that I went to, Odette was still working, and the immigration officer, there was a question of law about whether in Virginia, whether you could get married, sorry, you could get divorced and married on the same day, right? So that was the question, or a day later, or if there was any kind of quieting period after you got a divorce before you get married. I don't know if you remember this, Odette, and
No.
probably don't. She doesn't, because she does. If we do thousands of cases, she does tens of thousands of cases. Like she sees them all. Doesn't remember this. I do. It wasn't even that long ago. But the immigration officer wasn't sure of the law, right? And Odette was next door, so again, I've known Odette for 25 years. So we walk over and we're just talking to Odette about it. Do you know what she says? She said, "Why don't you just issue annoyed?" You said this, which is a notice of intent to deny, and give them the 30 days to have the law that this was okay. And I was just like annoyed. Like, no, how about a request for evidence, right? You get 87 days and supposed to annoyed. And I mean, if my client, if I hadn't been there, it would have been annoyed, right? It would have been a notice of intent to deny instead of at least getting 87 days. I mean, we're able to get the research done quickly, but
See, and you didn't even need 87 days. You got it done in 30.
right. But we didn't want to risk it. A notice of intent to deny is very different from a request for evidence.
This is
But my
true.
point is that lawyers need to step up, right, and advocate for our clients. And I had to advocate for more time. Again, to me, it was just, yeah, of course, but they needed proof of this, and it was extremely helpful for them that there was an attorney there, and that attorney happened to be me. Anyhow, the case was approved and a green card was issued. So bring your lawyer, person who is going to an asylum interview alone. Please bring the lawyer. Sorry, we went off on a little tangent there, but that's just so important. This is not for them; it's for everyone listening.
All right.
Absolutely. Okay, we have a couple of questions here on Facebook. We have more questions on TikTok. We have 2 minutes.
Okay, well we can
This
grab
is a time constraint issue.
Yeah, it's a time constraint issue. Let's see here. Let me throw this up.
Okay, Damson Richards. For countries, example Nigeria, that USCIS aren't processing their applications since January, is there hope of uplifting the ban soon?
Yeah, and then Ahmed asks a similar question.
Is there any update about
Yeah.
visa pause?
So there is no update. However, I know that there are lawsuits that people can join. So if you are being impacted by this visa pause and your immigration applications aren't being processed, there are lawsuits that are have been successful. I know there was a group of 99 plaintiffs and an immigration attorney filed, and so the ban was, my understanding. Okay, I'm not, don't quote me on this, but I will post in the comments tomorrow a resource where you can go to find out what lawsuits you might be able to join, so that you, if they go and a judge says yes, this ban needs to be lifted for these particular people in the lawsuit, then you can join those lawsuits. So I feel for you all who are waiting and you're in limbo. I understand that some people were even removed from their oath ceremonies right before they were about to swear in because they were from one of the countries with that ban. So I will post that in the comments, Damson and Ahmed. Hopefully that'll be helpful.
Okay, jumping back to TikTok here real quick. I filed for my I-485 and I-765 through paper. So how long will it take them to charge my card?
So let's see here.
So
you have a sense of this?
yeah,
right?
they've filed it, and hopefully you used the right form, the G1650
or the 1450 for
the
a credit card,
1450,
right?
with your information on it. And the question is, how long will it take? I mean,
To charge the card, yeah.
to charge the card. I mean, we're seeing usually anywhere between a few days to a couple of weeks. It depends a little bit on where it's going, but that's generally been my experience.
But we're not seeing months though, right?
No.
Okay. So if it's months, then there's maybe something wrong.
Yeah, if it's months, I agree.
Okay, great.
I think the longest that I've seen this year is like 28 days.
Well, that's very specific. John watches that.
Well, it was because I started to worry about it.
John watches that very carefully at the firm. Okay.
We have a comment here. Thank you, ma'am and sir. Because of your office, I'm now enjoying life with my daughter. Next is N600.
Wow.
Come on.
Can we screenshot that? Because
Yeah,
that just warms my heart. That really, really, really does. If I could shed a tear for that. I know Odette's probably like, oh brother, seriously though. That
No, I like that too.
okay, yeah. Back me up here, Odette. You know where, all of us have experienced that those moments where we know we have really helped a person, right? And we've helped their family. And it feels good. I mean, look, you did thousands of approvals, Odette,
Yes.
And so we all know what it feels like to be able to be helpful in a very, very stressful situation for people, right?
Right.
I mean, if you're not a little bit stressed out about your immigration case, you probably are in a fake marriage or something. I don't know. But everyone is stressed out while they're going through this process. And I brought up fake marriage. I was just talking to my dad and we were talking about fake marriages. Just so you know, we don't handle fake marriages, and no reputable immigration attorney should once that information comes out. So we always like to say, right, if you have a fake marriage, then we are definitely not the law firm for you or any type of fake case. Okay.
All right, last question, and then we're going to wrap it up here. JMV wants to know, how long is the processing of the I-130 in the Philippines right now? If we know.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Before you answer that, there's one comment here I wanted to get just real quick.
Can we
John says, Nanami.
John, Jon.
Yeah, Jon says,
this is on TikTok.
Best lawyer in Virginia. Thanks, John. Appreciate that.
That's awesome.
Screenshot that.
Yeah, we're just loving these comments.
You see the real reason we do this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I do.
It's not everybody. Some people come up and spam us. It's okay. We take everything with stride. Okay. So the Philippines I-130 petition. So, Odette, I know you just looked this up. If we're talking about the spouse, unmarried child under 21, or parent of a U.S. citizen, then it's
17 and a half months.
17 and a half months.
For the I-130. Guys, remember that is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
This is the first part of a 3-part case. Really, I see it as a 3-part case. So if we're talking about an immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, and again, that is the spouse, parent, or unmarried child under the age of 21 of a U.S. citizen, the first part of the case to approve the I-130 petition is 17 and a half months. If we're talking about a permanent resident filing an I-130 for a spouse or a unmarried child under the age of 21, and you're really looking more at like 3-4 years before that I-130 petition can be approved. And that's pretty, when I think about that time frame for an I-130 for a permanent resident spouse or unmarried child under 21, it kind of breaks my heart, right? It's 3-4 years. So really what all three of us always say is you got to get it filed, right? You got to file that I-130 petition in order to get the ball rolling on the rest of your case. And we also say that a lot of the times you guys are the holdup of your own immigration case.
Yeah. You want to lock in that priority date as fast as possible.
Absolutely. And it is tough love, but it is what it is. I mean, if the tough love is going to help you go ahead and file that I-130 petition that you've been sitting on for 2 years, then so be it. Because tough love, we love you. We want you guys to file your cases, to be with your families, and to have a great life. So that's why we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to clarify, you had corrected me earlier. I want to make sure everybody.
Did I?
Well, yeah, and I'm glad that you.
We're married,
did.
guys. It
Yeah.
happens sometimes.
Yeah, make sure when filing you're using the right payment forms. There's the G1650 and the 1450. We use the 1650 because we are pulling directly from a designated account when we have the filing fees. But if you're using a credit card, make sure you have the right form. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, guys, we will be here next week, same time, same place. Amazing questions.
Absolutely.
Really great, really helpful live, and the questions helped everyone else too who is listening now and who's going to listen later. So thank you guys so much.
And
for
Odette,
coming.
as always, thank you so much.
Yeah,
for
Odette.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to have you here.
It really is. Odette. Bachelor, everyone.
Odette is best.
Odette is best. All right.
All right, everybody.
All right, guys. 2 thumbs up, everybody.
2 thumbs up. We'll see you next week. Okay. All right.
Take care. Thank you so much. Bye.